Welcome back to Bedhaven, the safe place for safe plays. Back after the BMW Championship in Colorado. Not elevated, but elevation galore. What a weird tournament.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't see too much of it. I saw some Thursday, some Friday, and then like late after fishing on Saturday and Sunday, I saw like the last, whoever was on the course for their last like 5 holes, I saw both days. So I got to see the end. I got to see Keegan, which we all obviously anticipated him winning. That was obvious. What a weird week, dude. I don't know. Keegan from the clouds with Adam Scott. It felt like we were back in 2015 with the OGs out there competing and playing well. What a weird season for both of them, honestly. Like Adam Scott at one point, we talked about like he was on the verge of like not being in events.
Right.
He was like he's aging out, and here he is. Now he's in the top 30. He doesn't have to worry about any tournaments next year. He can play in whatever he wants to. Keegan now with this win. Oh my goodness. Now the possibilities are endless. I mean, he could end up being the Ryder Cup captain and on the team.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And you couldn't even really, I mean, I guess we'll see when we get to that point, but I mean, can you argue it? Like, unless he like falls off from now until then, like, I don't know. I kind of hope he's on. We got President's Cup coming up. I think he for sure will be on that team now. Definitely deserves to be, but yeah, weird tournament.
He's like 10th in the President's Cup stuff.
I think he should be on that team. If for nothing else.
Well, there's like automatic qualifiers, and he's like what? That makes him.
He's just outside. I think the automatic. But he got snubbed obviously from Ryder Cup last time. I think this would kind of almost be like a little bit of redemption. He just won. It makes all the sense in the world for him to be on the team, even to get some camaraderie going with the USA guys, get some mojo going. Makes a lot of sense. I hope he's on the team. Definitely should be. But yeah, weird tournament. A lot of guys. We saw some guys handle the elevation properly, and some guys really faltered. Weird week. It's kind of one of those where you got to decide how much stock you put into this past week and how much of that is going to carry over this week.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because just like in looking at a lot of different stuff while doing the research today, I've decided that I'm going to put essentially zero weight into, because there was so much variance. There was so much, like, there were like little weather pockets. Like they weren't quite as bad as some of the, other tournaments that we've seen. But I even texted you and I said, like, the first 3 rounds, the very first tee time, those guys were going off. Like, and I don't know, and it wasn't just specifically the very first tee time. It was like this little morning, first, second, third tee time. Like, you kind of saw exchanges between, those different times. But they were just, like, Grazerman had a really crazy round, or, just guys like that were just going off early. So the morning, the earlier you could get off, the better it was for you. And then you randomly saw guys go off late. On Sunday, Burns shot, 6, 7 under?
7,
yeah. Yeah. Cam Davis, my guy, I had my third most owned guy at 6,200, went 6 under.
Yep.
Bogeyed 18. He was 7 under before he bogeyed on 18. But it was very interesting to see who was doing what. And I'm actually kind of upset that Cam didn't make it to this week, because I was ready to go right back to that, but he finished 32nd in the FedEx standings, so not here this week. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some takeaways that I have as far as like carrying into this week, but for the most part, I'm writing off really bad performances as, just such a weird tournament.
I think like we said before, when it's an elevated, or not elevated, but kind of like an elevated event, basically, where you're going to play 4 rounds no matter what, unless you withdraw Hideki. But
you just had to throw that in.
If things are not going well for you, you still have to show up again and go suffer again and try and figure it out. And so the bad becomes magnified. But on top of that, this course we saw, like, I was kind of, I don't want to say amazed, because I did kind of see it coming in a way, but it played tougher than I think a lot of people thought it would.
Well, do you realize?
And it was mainly because of the trouble out there.
Yeah.
There was double bogeys at every turn.
Yeah, and Ludwig found every single possible one.
You could make a double at any moment. You could hit it out of bounds. You could hit it in the water.
Yeah.
There was water off the tee. There was creeks. There was ponds with shaved down to the water edges. I mean, a very beautiful golf course all in all. But it wasn't easy. Like there was birdies to be had, but there was also plenty of doubles out there.
And Vegas set the line at 23.5 for the winning score. And that's got to be one of the worst ones we've seen in a long time as far as projected winning score.
Yeah, it's because of the par fives. Like you had 4 par fives, and they were pretty much all gettable. And guys did make eagles and birdies. We saw plenty of that. But then there was holes where, simple par threes and stuff where you hit a bad iron or even like wedges. Like we saw like 100 yards left on some wedges where if you didn't clip it just right, you ended up in a bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Guys were really having trouble with the bunkers. I don't know if you noticed that. They were not getting any spin on the ball really. So they were really having to adjust how they were hitting bunker shots. It was weird, but yeah, good week. You're throwing things out back to Hideki. Are you forgiving him this week? You are going to forgive him.
So, and we'll get into that, but I did read somewhere that elevation can have a more drastic effect on joint and muscle related injuries. Something about the oxygen levels in your muscles and whatever, it increases pain levels or fatigue levels and things like that. So I'm not going to completely write off that he doesn't do it again, but I mean, he's still up there in the points. Like he could still, I don't know what he would have to do in order to, can he surpass Scotty at this point?
Yeah, to win this.
Okay, so I mean,
he is still. I can pull it up, but we'll dive into the starting strokes, but I think he's only like 3 or 4 back.
I think he's 7. He starts at 7 under, I think.
So he's 3 back. He's in third, so he absolutely can still win it all.
Well, what I'm saying as far as the points go, like if he wins the tournament, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go into the format.
So then that's, to me, I think the WD comes from, okay, I don't need, like I've got the strokes I need. I don't need to be here anymore. And I don't disagree with him. I think if you look at what he did round 1, the guy was about to shoot 6 under, hits it 348 down the middle on the 18 tee, and they blow the weather horn. He comes back, sticks it to 2 feet and misses the 2-foot putt. But yeah, his tee to green in round 1 was just like a direct, like exact mirror image of what he did the entire time at the FedEx or at St. Jude. So he's clearly in a different zone right now. I hated the WD. I had 50% of Hideki on DraftKings. I kept it pretty light. I think I told you I was going to keep it light on the show just because it wasn't a course that we were familiar with. When you don't have the stats to kind of to back up things that you're already thinking, it's a little bit harder to be like, okay, let me just shovel out a little bit more here. But yeah, it did hurt because I feel like my ancillary picks, like the Cam Davis and our Tom Hoagie pick, like I had so many good around, the not forefront players on my squads. And you saw, I sent you the screenshot of the winnings. It wasn't winnings. It was a loss overall. So, but yeah, Hideki, I guess we'll like I said, we'll talk about that more, but it was kind of unfortunate to see that.
Well, let's go ahead into the Tour Championship this week. You got the top 30 players that have been battling all year long points-wise to get in that top 30 to make it to this tournament. This is where the payouts get insane.
Yeah.
So the way they'll do this tournament so that everybody can keep up is that Scotty will start the tournament at 10 under. Then Xander will start at 8 under. Hideki will start at 7 under. Keegan will start at 6 under. Ludwig will start at 5. And then starting at 4 under will be Rory, Morikawa, Clark, Burns, and Cantlay. 3 under will be M, Thigala, Lowry, Scott, Finau. 2 under will be On, Hovland, Henley, Akshay, McIntyre. 1 under will be Billy Ho, Tommy Fleetwood, Straka, Pavon, Pendrith. And then starting at even will be Kirk, Hoagie, Rye, Bez, Justin Thomas. So right when you make your lineup, that person will already be getting placement points. So Scotty will already be in first. Now, he won't have 10 birdies to his name, but he will be in first already. And I just think that the way the pricing came out, Scotty is
12-2.
12-2. I don't see how you don't pick some sort of version of Scotty, Xander, and Hideki. Given that they're going to be all right there in the top three, I think you need to start your lineup with two of those three. I don't care which two of those three, but you almost have to. The odds of two of those three finish inside the top five is massive. They're all playing fantastic golf, other than Hideki's withdrawal, but his first round was fantastic. Other than that, the chances that these guys finish in the top five is amazing. And you can pick Scotty and Xander, and I did it earlier, and you still get to like 6,700 as an average. I did this strategy last week. A lot of people did, honestly, and it didn't work. It ended up not being the correct way to go about it because you had Aubert ended up there. You had obviously Keegan and Scott and Wyndham, and you kind of had some Burns ended up getting up there late. You had some weird combination. I don't see that happening again. I'm going right back to the same strategy. Give me Scotty, Xander, and then I'll figure it out from there. Those guys are going to be at the top of the leaderboard the entire tournament unless they really falter. Even if they play to their average, they're going to be in contention to win.
Right.
Hideki's the X factor for me. You can go into Hideki, but he's playing well, but you had the withdrawal. You know, I don't know how much to hate him or think he's going to do it again, or I don't know.
I would say so for me, I'm going to have some. I'll probably have equal amount that I did last week. Because some of the ownership might go away from the withdrawal. I think in this type of tournament where you got 30 guys, I mean, you're going to see duplicated lineups across the board. So as different as I can get, that's what I'm going to do. And I think some of that's going to start with kind of like what you're saying, taking either Scotty, Hideki, or Xander Hideki. For me personally, I probably won't do Scotty Xander.
Xander was that's a mistake. Xander was the most
like it was a mistake last week to not pick
Xander was the most owned golfer in the tournament last week at 42% roughly. Scotty was like 37. So that tells me that people are already jumping on the Xander bandwagon here, which is fine. I got no problem with it. He's playing fantastic. He also has really good
his stroke history here.
He's like number one at this course.
We didn't talk about this either, but this is East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, par 71 this year. They did do some renovations, so it's not exactly the same course.
Have you seen what the renovations are?
Some of it real quick though. Par 71, 7,490 yards.
Yeah, so they increased.
That's a little deep.
Yeah, they increased
Bermuda grass greens too, which is important.
Is it Bermuda?
Yes, it's a special Bermuda, but it's not championship Bermuda, but it's Bermuda.
Is that a conversion from what it was last year?
I don't know,
because I swear I saw that it was converted to bent grass, but
I'm reading Bermuda here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so increase the length by, I don't remember what the exact yardage was, but it played closer to like 72, 90 maybe prior to the renovations. I also read that the fairway width is increased and the rough is not as wide overall. It's still going to be about the same length that it has been historically, which is about 2.5 inches. Not very penal except for the unpredictability of the lie.
Yeah, they are now Tiff Eagle Bermuda.
Tiff Eagle. I swear we've read somewhere else where that was Tiff. That sounds familiar. That's triggering something. Either way.
Bermuda greens here. Important to think about your Bermuda putters. Well,
Bermuda Burns.
Bermuda Burns. Off the top of my head, Rye was good on Bermuda. I'll have to deep dive that, but I can't remember who else.
I think Wyndham wasn't the Wyndham Championship isn't that Bermuda at Sedgefield?
Yes.
So yeah, guys probably that putt well there will do
guys,
well here.
It was like Wyndham. What do we were comping? Rocket Mortgage, Wyndham, and the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So I'll have to pull those up, but I think a lot of those guys have probably been eliminated too. So you have to think about who's even left from those tournaments that played well on Bermuda.
But yeah, the redesign is gonna bring a little bit of different strategy, but also maybe not. I think historically, driving accuracy has been one of the bigger factors here. Fourth most important. Well, that stat is the fourth. This is the fourth course where that is the most important stat. Only three other courses are more important driving accuracy. But the length is gonna, the length change is gonna be interesting, and the fact that I read that the fairways are wider and the rough is not as wide, like to me that kind of brings length, not so much accuracy into play here. So I think that's something that we can talk about as well. We're gonna change up the typical format that we do. We've always done first round leader, favorite play, top 20, top 40. Since the playoffs started, we've done first round leader, favorite play. What did we do last week? Did we do a top 20 and then value play?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no, we did projected winner and then value play.
Yeah.
We took away the top 20 because the market, as you get to these condensed events where there's only X amount of guys, the books are just, they take away all the edge that you can get.
Yeah, the only thing I would consider playing, and I'm not personally going to play it, I'm going to just invest mostly in DraftKings. You could play a without starting strokes winner.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do
so whoever
who would win this golf tournament?
The raw strokes.
Yeah. Who would win this golf tournament if they were all starting it even like a normal golf tournament? That's something that you could consider doing this week. I personally won't. I'm just going to go to DraftKings anyways and just make my lineups and try and get sneaky with builds this week. But yeah, you could do that. But
I've seen a 72 hole market for that. Do they have a round by round market for that? Because now that kind of takes away the first round leader possibility. I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah. Again, I won't be getting in the weeds with first round leader or anything like that this week. I'm going to try and get sneaky with my builds. Maybe leave some money on the table this week would be a good option when you're building. But we can go into kind of some strategy with that. I think this will be more of a strategy show than normal. But you want me to just kind of dive into my favorite play this week?
Do it.
All right. So my favorite play this week is Scottie Scheffler. And the reason being is that, obviously he's amazing at a lot of things and he did not have a good week last week, but he was 37% on, like I said, which is we're starting to see a dip on Scottie where people are getting less and less interested in playing him at this price. He didn't have a good week, so that only kind of confirms people's thoughts about it. But on top of that, in the past couple of years, pricing wise, we've seen about around 13,500, 13,200, somewhere in there, has been the leader going into this tournament with the 10 under starting strokes. This year with Scottie, it's only, 12,200?
Yeah.
12,200 it's not enough. You're giving the best player in the world a 2-shot lead over Xander and a 10-shot lead over 5 guys at the bottom. It doesn't make any sense that he shouldn't be way more expensive. This opens up so many possibilities, like I was talking about, where you can literally start with Scottie Xander, which there's a huge chance that they end up 1-2 in some sort of way. Or if you think that Scottie's going to falter, then you could go Xander Hideki. Or if you think, maybe you want to get sneaky, you leave off Xander and you go Scottie Hideki. Whatever you want to do. But Scottie, key stats for me this week are driving accuracy, greens and regulation percentage, and approaches 125 to 150. Scottie's in the top 10 in all those. He's 6th in drive accuracy percentage, 1st in greens and regulation percentage, and 5th in strokes gain approach 125 to 150. Last week, we've already talked about how it was kind of a funky week, and you get to decide whether you want to believe what you saw and believe the stats on the strokes gained. But you can lose strokes gained so fast with one water ball.
Mm-hmm.
One water ball, and all of a sudden you plummet 2 shots for the day or for that hole or whatever. The strokes gained data is really murky this week as far as looking at to last week like we always do. But yeah, Scottie gained a little bit off the tee per round, 0.3, lost a little bit on approach, which I think is the first time he's lost on approach in a while. He lost putting, basically neutral around the greens, but there was just so many weird things with water, with the elevation change with these guys most of these guys hadn't really dealt with. Just a weird week. And I think I will 100% take Scotty Scheffler with a 2-shot lead over second place, 12,200, which I believe is less than he was last week. And he's going to probably get a discount on ownership because he played bad. Sign me up. I might have 100% Scotty Scheffler this week. It makes no sense for him to be, let's say he ends up being like, let's say he's the same percentage, like 35. Well, we've also eliminated 20 golfers, so you have to take that into consideration too. The percentages will be very weird this week. Everybody's going to be elevated. But I mean, Xander could be like, it's not crazy to think that Xander could be like 50% owned this week. Because people are just going to say, I'm not going to start with Scotty. I'll take the discount. I'll take the guy who's got the best strokes gained total at this specific course, who's playing arguably the best. I'll just take him, take the discount, and then they'll start, Xander and Aubert or whoever. I'm not even going to get in that yet, but Scotty Scheffler this week, starting on the lead, cheaper than he was last week, and possibly with less ownership than we've seen at any elevated event the entire year with him. Sign me up, 100%. Scotty for the win.
The problem is that all he has to do is just coast. I feel like, for the most part, he's just going to have to play to his average.
Yeah. I mean, if he plays to his average.
Like, what's his average score?
Well, I can tell you his average strokes gained per round in his last 36 is like.
So it's a par 71.
2.5.
I bet his scoring average is somewhere in the 67, 68.
I mean, if he plays to his average, like the only people that really have a chance to catch him are
Xander, Decky, and Keegan.
Hideki. And even Keegan is.
I don't.
Keegan would have to play pretty well above his average.
Yeah.
Obviously he did last week, but he would have to probably match that. Even maybe a little bit better than match it, which would be very tough for him, I believe.
Well,
but that's my favorite play. Let's hear your favorite play. What do you got?
I'm going back to Decky. I just am. It's like I said, I think some of the ownership will go away from
Are we both going back to our favorite plays from last week?
I'm not scared. I don't think you have any reason to be. Your favorite player is the best player in the world. Like, that's like he had a bad week, but like going back to him is a little bit easier, I think, than going back to the guy that just WD'd after shooting a 5 under first round. That's a little scary for me. But
yeah, but I wouldn't be that shocked if their ownership is like not way off from each other.
You think it'll be pretty close?
I don't think that many people are going to go back to Scotty here. I mean, Hideki will be less for sure, but he's also $2,100 cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing some of his like highest strokes gained total in his last couple rounds as far as on the year goes, Decky.
Yeah.
And when you look at him while he's playing, he doesn't like look or get rattled. Even when he was kind of faltering at the end of the St. Jude Classic, he got into a really bad position and he still dug his way out. Like, I feel like now the course changed. They did bring more water into. I think it's going to play very similarly to how it did in Memphis. Like, they brought more water into play. They added some bunkers. You're in a similar region of the country. It's going to be kind of warm again this week, so you'll see similar humidity and that kind of stuff. And Decky proved that he can play in those types of conditions. And I've got no problem going back here at 10,100 on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
It just opens up a ton of opportunity for a guy who's already beaten the two best golfers in the world right now in playoffs.
Yeah, he's playing good.
If he WDs, then I'm screwed again.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. That's the only fear, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of the belief that if he plays, he should be good. Like, I got no reason to think that he's going to play bad, even with this back thing. Like, round one, he still was like almost. I think he like might have led the field or something.
He did.
Tee to green.
He did.
Day one.
He gained like 6.5 strokes tee to green or something stupid like that.
So yeah, if he plays, he should be fantastic, and he's also starting literally starting in third. So you're giving him a head start on top of it. So yeah, I got no reason to think that he's going to be a problem. Also, something to think about, like the reason I'm saying you need to have two of the three guys at the top. If any of these guys, let's say, play like really good, which they do all the time.
Right.
Let's say they shoot like 6 under round one, dude. They could be like, they could be 5 shots clear of second, like immediately. That's not inconceivable. If Scotty shoots 5 or 6 under round one, and Xander and Hideki shoot even, well, all of a sudden we've got a damn runaway.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you kind of have to think about it that way. And same thing with, you know, Xander and Hideki, but maybe not to the same possibilities.
I will say this. We've seen Hideki and Xander kind of get out early. Have we ever seen Scotty really like jump out in a first round and get clear? I mean, what Hideki at the Olympics shot 8 under in the first round. Xander's done 8 under a handful of times early. I don't know if we've ever really seen Scotty get out in front quick. So that could be.
Yeah, Scotty typically,
he closes strong, very strong.
Yeah, he's usually like
course record at was that the Olympics?
He like kind of like tigers it. Like he just
course
hangs
record
around.
Course record of the Olympics, closed really strong at the Players, like 9 under or something stupid like that to win that tournament. I mean,
he just hangs around, and then when we get to the weekend, it's on.
Which you could look at that in 2 ways. You could say, okay, Decky and Xander could get out early and have a little bit of cushion.
But kind of just wears you down. Like his average game is so much better than the other guy's average that eventually he's going to get to the top. Like if his average is a 68 every day or whatever, he's going to wear on you. You guys falter one day and shoot even, well, then he's going to, you know, gain 4 shots on you or whatever. So I think that's why we see that. But yeah, his like round one ceiling has not been as high.
No, we haven't really seen it, but we've seen it from the other two.
Hey, but if you're not hot, you're due. So maybe we're going to see a Scotty round one where he just like
comes out and explodes.
Peace. I'm gone.
The thing is, the reason I don't think we see that is because he doesn't have to be as aggressive as some of these other guys. Like he can just kind of.
He doesn't, but maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder after this.
I mean, he could. He's been kind of openly. We talked about it last time. He's openly talked about his kind of grievances with the way that this is formatted. I don't know. I could see it going both directions. I could see him being like, it doesn't really matter. Like, and I could also see him being like, oh yeah, you want to see what I can do?
I'm going to bet on the guy that won gold.
Yeah.
And got a course record. That little chip on his shoulder here after a bad week in Colorado. You know, maybe he doesn't love the format. Maybe he comes out round one and just says, where's the check? The child mentioned the checks.
I could see it. All right. What's all right? So we're not doing first round, like you said. If I do find a first round market, I will post something about that. But it's got to be a first round because there is one, but it includes the strokes. It's got to be a raw like.
They do have the strokes.
Yes.
What was
Scotty's like minus 900.
I was about to say he has to be something insane.
But there is, and there historically has been like lowest round of the day, which is sort of the same exact thing.
If you do it for round one.
Because I bet Justin Thomas to have the low round of the day on Sunday and it didn't work.
No,
it wasn't that bad. He shot 4 under.
He did have a good day, but obviously old Burnsy boy.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's out. Like I said, I've only seen the with strokes, and let me pull that up right now. Actually, first round leaders. Wait, what? He's only minus 163.
To maintain his lead, essentially.
Yeah.
After round one.
Mm-hmm. That has to be without strokes, to me.
Yeah, that seems weird.
No, he's minus 175 on DraftKings. So, yeah. To maintain his lead, you're minus 175, minus 163 or whatever it was. That's a little interesting.
Yeah. If I had more than $1.37 in my bank account, I'd probably hammer that.
Just to put in perspective, Xander's plus 280. Hideki's plus 1100.
Mhm.
I mean, he's only 3 back. Like Scotty,
That'd probably be the one.
yeah, Scotty can shoot
That-
2
that-
under, and Decky can shoot 6 under.
Yeah, I wouldn't go past Hideki though, honestly.
Yeah, Keegan is 30, Ludwig is 40, Rory's 70. Like, there's massive numbers on these guys because it's just not
Just
going
don't
to
see
happen.
it. I just don't see it. Yeah, Scotty, and even Xander, they'd all have to have a bad day. I mean, it just not possible. I don't really think that's possible, but
Plus 100,000 Taylor Pendrith first round leader.
yeah, no, definitely not going to happen. All right,
I'm putting $5 on it.
my winner this week is Scotty Scheffler.
Get the out of here.
I'm not going to go back into all the stats, but like I said, I think he's going to win. But yeah, you can go ahead and you're a winner. Is it Hideki? You don't even know.
It's Xander.
Xander?
I think Xander. I'm gonna have a lot of lineups that are Xander Hideki. I've already built one, and
no
it's-
problem with that. I think that is a great strategy.
The way that it works out, like money wise, and I can kind of do what I did last week. I think my strategy last week was to pick my guy, like pick my field of players, and just like rotate. Essentially, I didn't want to have a ton of ownership. Like I don't think I had any Wyndham. Like I just wasn't pulling guys in that I truly didn't believe in. I wasn't pulling them in and mixing and matching. I really just found like a core group of guys and just found different ways to play them with different, with each other.
That's fine. I think that's the play this week.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna do that with Xander and Hideki and just all of whoever else I mentioned today. But to me, that's like the best way to keep everything kind of condensed and like you're not spreading yourself too thin. You're not overthinking what you're doing.
You have to remember, they are literally starting
Right.
8 under and 7 under. They're already ahead. On top of them already being the best golfers in the world, they're already ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to. That's why I'm saying, like, you're picking the 2 that I'm gonna have the least of, but I won't have 0. I will still have some of this combination. But that's why I'm saying, like, these 3 are heads and tails, the best golfers in the world right now. You have to have 2 out of 3 of them.
I think if you're
because
telling
pricing
me,
allows it.
I think if you're telling me that Scotty's gonna be 35% owned,
Yeah, that's probably.
then I'll match the field on Scotty, and the other 65% will be a combination of those two.
I think Xander's going to be the most owned, and I think that he literally could touch like 50% ownership.
I don't doubt that, but yeah, that's just the way I'm gonna do it this week.
Hideki will be like.
And honestly, if you look at what happened last week,
25.
that would have been the perfect strategy last week. Without the Hideki WD, I'm in the money by a
If
long shot.
Hideki continue to
50%
play
of
well,
my
yeah.
squads were out the gate toast,
if Hideki
including
continue to
a-
play well,
including my most expensive single entry. So
he would have been probably one of the most expensive guys that actually stayed at the top of the leaderboard.
yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, there wasn't even that many guys that like were expensive that even were up there.
Right. So yeah, I think Xander has just done so many different things this season, and now you've put him on golf courses that he's historically been uncomfortable on, and he played extremely well, and now you're gonna put him on a course that he's always comfortable on. I mean, come on.
I could see it. I think that there's a very good chance that it ends up Scotty Xander 1-2.
Plus, the conversation about which season would you rather take? I mean, these guys are seeing that on social media. Like Xander's seeing people pick Scotty's season over what he's done and vice versa. And Xander's got that dog in him. He does.
Yeah, he does.
It just shows a little bit differently than some of
He
these other
does.
people, but
No, he does. Scotty does too, though. It's just it's down there. It's a little quieter about
it's deep.
It's deep.
All right. What else you got?
Let's go cheap play. My cheap play of the week. Let me know if you've heard this before. It's Tom Hoagie. Tom Hoagie is
Really?
6,100 on DraftKings this week.
Getting hot with the irons.
Tom Hoagie is he's just striping it.
Yeah.
Man. He's 8th in this field in greens regulation percentage for the year, and he's first in this field 125 to 150 strokes gain approach. On top of that, last 12 rounds on approach, he is 5th.
What's your number? 125 to 150 approach?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's hitting it so damn good with the irons, and I will. He's starting at even, so he's down there with Kirk, Rye, Bez, Justin Thomas. So starting obviously way down there, but there's only one guy cheaper than him in Pavon, who's starting at 1 under. But Tom Hoge, man, I just trust him on this golf course to contend. Like, I trust him to just be in the fight. And that's really all you're looking for this week from a guy that far down the board. You're just looking for him not to end up finishing 29th, because that's essentially where he's starting. That's his starting position. You know, in NASCAR, they have placement differential. And basically this week, you're wanting like your guys to move up. You're wanting your guy that's starting 29th to finish in 15th or something like that. And, you know, I believe that Tom Hoge can do that, given that his approach game has been fantastic. Coming off of a pretty good week at the BMW. T13. He led the field in stroke scan approach, other than Hideki for Hideki's 1 round. But Tom Hoge averaged 2.15 stroke scan on approach for the week. That's per round. That's flushing it. Lost putting, lost some off the tee, but right there in contention. Shot even he didn't even do anything final round. He's still 5 under total, T13.
Yeah.
Tom Hoge's my cheap play of the week.
Well, I like Hoge. I mean, obviously I picked him last week. The putting is just weird for me. It's like, just putt a little bit.
Let's see what he did. Let's see what he did at the Bermuda courses.
But on that same token, I'm going with Justin Thomas, cheap play, 6,800 on DraftKings. He posted a little meme video today on Instagram. Have you seen that?
I did see that.
I like that. I like the attitude, a little lighthearted. Last man in, he was 30th. And what happened this past week on the last man in?
Moving on up.
It's Keegan was the last man in last week. And guess what? He won. Not that can happen again. There's not no way. But Justin Thomas, I don't know.
You don't need him to. You need
no. Right.
You need a top 15.
Well, the thing about Justin Thomas is, if you look at some of like his rounds, they were all over the place. I mean, you saw big losses, big gains, but in round 4, and if I do find a without strokes first round leader, it's going to be Justin Thomas as my pick. Really good history at East Lake.
Spike potential.
Yeah, gained, and we've seen it. We've seen it as recently as like Genesis and the Open and some of that stuff. So he gained 5.29 strokes tee to green in round 4, and gained like 2 point something putting in round 3. If he can get those two together, you're looking at a serious 6-7 under round probably. And like I said, last man in, even if you just, the type of person that Justin Thomas is, he missed the playoffs completely last year. He played the Wyndham trying to get in, nearly chipped it in on the 18th hole to get into that 70th spot. It actually lipped out. And then for him to make the playoffs this year, I think that was just kind of, now he's here. He's at the final event. Like, I think he's got a lot of that weight that maybe missing last year added to him.
He's also currently bubble boy for President's Cup.
Correct. He's 10th.
He's like right there.
I think
he's right there needing a captain's
No, he's
pick.
not 10th. Who did we talk about? I think we mentioned Keegan was 10th earlier. I want to say he's like 19th.
Yeah, no, he needs a captain's pick. He needs to show that he's playing well.
And he's been on every like U.S. team since 2017, and he's sort of represented team for the U.S. He's been on every single team since 2017. Do you think he wants to miss out on that?
Him and Spieth.
Yeah. You think he wants to miss out on that? Because I don't.
It'd be pretty funny if if him and Spieth don't make the President's Cup team, and then the USA just balls out and beats that shit national team. Immediately, everybody's gonna be like, "Damn, we see who the problem was. We see the problem boys are gone now. We got them out of the way, and now we're dominating."
Well, in Spieth's current form, yeah, he would absolutely be a problem. But
yeah, Definitely some motivation here for Justin for sure. He also had a bad putting week last week.
Yeah,
Lost,
his putters are kind of a problem right now. If you look at his last several tournaments,
he
like
lost 1.38 per round last
Yeah.
week at the BMW Championship.
that's not good.
Basically neutral everywhere else on average. T39, 4 under round 4. Yeah.
But if you
not good
look,
putting.
I looked at his last couple of events at East Lake. He's come into this tournament kind of bleeding in certain scenarios with the putter and found a way to be positive with the putter at East Lake. So, these greens are, I'm assuming they're different now based on what you were saying earlier. But
Bermuda, baby.
if I can find a comp for the type of greens, like a comp course, and he shows me any sign of life on that, then
Could look up like
we're gonna have to. That'll be a post-show
TIFF.
research.
Tiff Eagle if anybody else has those greens. But we do have some Bermuda stuff, but that's about it. All right. I'm going to go into my fade of the week. And it's going to be Ludwig Aubert.
Wow.
Coming off of obviously a good week where he was in contention, ends up finishing T2, but a lot of it was putting, and we're going back to Bermuda greens where he's had not as much success. He gained 1.17 per round on the greens, and so that put him that put him 4th for the week putting. But if you go tee to green, he's down there in like 10th. So a lot of it was putting for him. He has struggled in general. In this field. So 30 guys in this field. Last 24 rounds, strokes gained total. So that includes everything. That's your off the tee, that's your approach, you're around the green, and your putting. Strokes gained total. He is 19th in this field in the last 24 rounds. 19th. That's bad. That's really bad, especially considering he's the 4th most, highest priced guy this week.
His
9,900.
price does not match 19th.
He's 9,900. He's the 4th highest priced guy this week. He is starting, ahead of most. He's starting at 5 under. But man, I think he's like 1,200 more than Keegan, who's starting a shot ahead of him, and Keegan just beat him. I don't know. For me, no way I can get there based on knowing that he putted above his normal last week, and that was a big reason for his T2 finish. And he's the 4th highest price guy in this field, and he's starting, 5 under. And, if you just compare him to Keegan, who's starting ahead of him, Keegan's $1,200 cheaper. I don't know. For me, Aubert will be a fade.
I got a Tiff Eagle course for you.
What you got? I can look it up.
Quail Hollow was resurfaced with Tiff Eagle Bermuda greens.
But like when? Like they've played on it since?
They've played Quail Hollow this year. That were those greens.
What's the tournament? Do you know where the tournament's going?
Wells Fargo.
Okay, let me look up that.
So pretty recently too.
All right, who's your fade of the week? Is it Scotty?
It's not Scotty. I have a hard time saying this because I could also see him just like whipping it back into shape so quickly. But Colin Morikawa is just not doing it right now. And, I picked him last week. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And he's just doing things that you just don't see him do typically. And it's not working. So I don't know what his ownership will be. You're now, seeing a couple of so-so finishes. I mean, he hasn't had a top 20 in his last 3 starts, including the Olympics. He went from being like this top 10 machine kind of throughout this season, and being the guy that was battling Scotty almost every single tournament, it felt like. And we're not getting that right now. Now you're seeing some off the tee issues with accuracy, and the approach is not as sharp as it was. Again, I said last week that Colin was the first person on the range at the BMW, to practicing and whatnot, getting his TrackMan and getting the adjustments made. But I don't know if it's a mental thing right now. I don't know if he's gassed. He's played a lot this season, and a lot of these guys have their. I think a lot of them are getting tired. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have very, very little, if any, Colin Morikawa this week, and that could absolutely, this happens to us all the time where we've been early on guys a lot this year, and we've also like jumped off of a guy when it's their time, and that's the scary part. But I think at some point, when there's a field of 30, you got to take a stand somewhere, and if Colin has to be that guy for me, then that so be it.
So going super recent history, last 12 rounds, I've got the strokes gained total, so that includes putting. Colin Morikawa is 23rd in this field of 30. Just as shocking, Rory McIlroy is 24th in this field.
Wow.
And Hideki is first. Last 12 rounds, that's super recent, but it also makes a lot of sense, just given that we're kind of winding down. You're getting a lot of super recent form. And yeah, I mean, just to I'll rattle off the first five. It's Hideki, Burns, Xander, Scott, Scotty. That's the first five. And then the bottom five is Pavon, Hoagie, Akshay, Straka, Thigala. So
Thigala had a really tough tournament.
Mostly putting. Something to consider. I actually kind of like him as a sneaky play.
You like Thigala this week as a
sneaky play because I just think his ownership is going to be like maybe the lowest owned in the field, and
he played
him
horrible.
And Pavon will be like the lowest owned guys. He lost 2.19 strokes gained putting per round. That's a ton. He lost across the board, off the tee approach. He lost everywhere. He didn't play good, obviously. But nothing was like really, really bad except for the putting. Thing to consider about Thigala here is he's starting at 3 under. He's not starting at the bottom of the board. He's starting at 3 under, and for him, what'd you say, $7,000? That's not that insane.
7K flat.
He is something to consider this week is what is their price compared to where they're starting? Like, throw out how they're playing. Just tell me where are they starting and what's their price. And of the group of the guys that are starting 3 under, Sahith is by far the cheapest option. He's paired with Im, Lowry, Scott, and Finau. All those guys are starting 3 under. He's the cheapest guy by
Lowry, Scott, Finau.
By a good 7.
He's going to be the least owned out of all of those guys for sure.
He's the cheapest and he'll be the least owned. Now, is he playing the best? Hell no. But we're getting one tournament here. It's not impossible. But yeah, not to go on a tangent on Thigala, but I think that this week is such a strategy build. You have to consider ownership. You have to consider how you're going to build. Are you going to stack the top? Are you going to pick, the cheapest guy? How are you going to do it? And you have to think of ways to get different. And I think that Thigala is a good way to get different because you know what? In reality, he's not playing very good, but he's starting at 3 under. So if he does play average or he plays like he has one good round or something, it's not crazy to think that he could finish in the top, 15 or 10 or something like that. If he plays well and at that ownership, you're not even spending much. You could still do Scotty, Xander and get there. You could still do Xander, Hideki and get there. You're going to have to probably pick somebody that you don't think is going to be owned or leave a bunch of money on the table. This is a week where I would not hate if you left like 500, 800, whatever dollars just sitting there on the table. That way your lineup is different than somebody else. And max enter. You have to max enter this week because the possibility you're going to have to nail it to win your contest. Like, you're really going to have to nail it. But yeah.
I think you read off the bottom 5 of strokes gained total.
Mm-hmm.
Was Sepp Straka in that category?
He's towards. Well, let's do it.
I swear you said his name. That's really unfortunate.
No, he wasn't in the bottom. Oh yes, he was. Yeah, he's fourth from the bottom.
That sucks because I got a little inkling about Sepp Straka this week.
Again, he might not be that owned. Like you're gonna
Huge,
have to play somebody.
huge gain on putting, like the biggest putting week we've seen from him, I think all year. And I've looked back at like past tournaments and like seeing when he puts well, like he gets some of the other stuff figured out the following week.
You know what we need to do? Let's finish your thought about the Tiff Eagle Bermuda. I've got it pulled up now.
Which thought about it?
Well, I can tell you who putted the best at the Wells Fargo.
Yeah, if you just pull that out, I've started looking at that already since we've been sitting here.
Okay. The guy who putted the best on Tiff Eagle greens at the Wells Fargo this year was Ben An.
Yeah, I went after I saw that, I went and looked at some of his approach stuff. Not very good from 125 to 150. But I think he could be a sneaky one this week.
Ben An gained. I absolutely think he could be sneaky. I don't think he's going to be that owned. He gained 2 shots per round on the greens. The next highest in this field was fourth, and it was Sung Jae Im. He gained 1.51 per round. Ben An also finished third that week, and Sung Jae finished fourth. Kind of a weird one. The next one in line is Akshay. Gained 1.47 and did not really have that good of a week. He finished 42nd. Really struggled off the tee.
I think he's got that kind of turned around too. He had a couple of tournaments in a row where his off the tee stuff wasn't that great.
And then to go to the other end of the board, guys that are in this field that putted bad would be Shane Lowry, lost 1.44 per round. Chris Kirk lost 1.03. That's about it as far as like bad.
Let me tell you something. If I find this first round leader without strokes included, you know what Tom Hoge did in the first round of the Wells Fargo? He gained 3.64 strokes putting. And he lost everywhere else. So now he's hitting
Which
the
is
ball.
not his game usually.
Yeah. So like, could he sync those two up? Because that would be. And I bet him first round leader last week. I sent you a screenshot. I threw 15 on Tom Hoge with the boost on Bet 365, and he was nowhere to be found.
I think he birdied the first hole.
He did, and I was very excited about it.
Yeah, he gave it back, but he hung in there the whole week. Like he actually ended up being a great DraftKings play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, scratching out a T13. I think he'd be a good play again. As long as you have to almost look at it. Can he finish higher than 29th and make some birdies? You know, fantasy points are going to be a big deal this week. It's not really going to be entirely your finishing position. It will be, can you make an eagle? Can you stack some birdies?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get 3 birdies in a row? It's going to be weird shit like that. So, Tom Hoge, I think could be a good cheap guy. But you want to maybe build, or you want to talk about some Bermuda putters? Obviously, we got the.
I don't want to get too caught up in the putt or the actual Bermuda putters because I do think it'll play a little bit differently.
U.S.
I'll tell you
Open.
what, those greens last week were fast.
Yeah,
They were like the first day watching, because I know you said you didn't see much of it, but I did. The first like at least the first round and a half that I saw, these guys they could not hit an approach putt to save their lives. I mean, obviously most of the time they're trying to make everything, but it just felt like anytime I looked up, they still had 4 or 5 feet for par. They just couldn't find the speed. But yeah, the putting is I think we know who is better on Bermuda, but I do want to try and build a squad with a couple of different strategies involved, including no Scotty and Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, Akshay for sure is better on Bermuda. Like at the FedEx, gained 1 point.
Is he locked? He's not locked for President's Cup, is he? Isn't he like 14th?
Yeah, he's not. He's just outside. No, I think he's even closer than that. Maybe.
I'm almost positive he's 14th, but you can.
Akshay 1.2 at the FedEx, and then at the U.S. Open, he gained. Maybe it was Rocket. He gained in like 2 of these that I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm gonna Rocket. Yeah, but Akshay. Oh yeah, Akshay at the Rocket 0.96, Wells Fargo. Like I said,
1.62.
So
That's what I'm seeing on Data Golf.
Akshay
And Travelers 1.3.
definitely pops as far as the putting. Burns as well. Burns at the U.S. Open 1.75 gained. FedEx 1.78 gained.
What are you doing with Burns this week?
Let's see where is he starting. Burns is starting at 4 under. He's starting there with Rory, Morikawa, Clark, and Cantlay.
Rory, Morikawa, Clark, Cantlay. All right, so Rory's 9.6, Morikawa's 9.1, Cantlay's 9.4. So he's the third most expensive. Was that 5 guys you named or 4?
Rory, Morikawa, Clark, Cantlay, and then Burns. So there's 5 total.
So he's the
he's a fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 8,500. Clark's 8,100.
I think he's gonna have to. You're gonna have to try and squeeze him in. It's gonna be tricky. It'll be harder for me. It sounds like than you, because you saving that $1,100 by not picking Scotty and you going Xander Hideki, you can probably get there with 8,500. You're gonna have to go to the bottom, but run that and see if you can do that, because I would imagine that you can.
You want to know what one of my strategies is this week?
Lay it on me.
I'm gonna pair Hideki and Bobby Mack. The 2 guys that WD'd last week, they're going on the same squads.
It's gonna take stuff like that. Yeah,
and I don't see anything wrong with either of them.
It's gonna take little weird stuff like that to like get different.
All right, what do you want me to do?
I'll just do it since you're not doing shit over here.
Scotty, Xander.
Yeah, it leaves you 6,800, so it's definitely possible. No, I wanted you to make your build. I wanted you to start your team. Xander, Hideki, Burns.
Xander,
it leaves you 6-8 for 3 guys. So yes, it's very possible to do that, and you could still go up from there. You could still take.
Do you think Hoagie's gonna be owned? Because just going down to the bottom, once you said that, like, he's definitely the one in that area that, like,
yeah, he could be this week. He'll probably be more owned than he was last week because he had a good finish. Everybody's so recent. So much recency bias. I could see him being fairly owned. I'm trying to think of who else at the bottom is going to get any ownership.
Where's
Pavone's not going to get any.
Where's
ownership.
Bobby Mack starting? 2 under.
Bobby Mack is starting 2 under. Yeah.
So yeah, right now I've got.
He's with On, Hovland, Henley, and Akshay. He might be the cheapest out of those guys, maybe, or is Akshay? I think Akshay is. What do you got?
No, he's.
Yep, he's the cheapest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right now I've got. And what's Straka? Straka starting at even?
Straka starting at 1 under.
So even he's got the advantage over. Because I was gonna put Justin on this team, but
yeah, that's something to consider this week. Like if you're between like 2, you get down to your final guy and you're between 2 guys. Like if one of them is starting 1 shot ahead of the other, then yeah, just do that.
Yeah,
like, don't even think about it. Just do that.
Xander, Decky, Burns, Theegala, Straka, Bobby Mack.
One more time.
Xander, Decky, Burns.
Yeah. Okay. So the start that I was telling you to try.
Yeah, Theegala, Straka, Bobby. And you could throw if you truly
could do
believed,
JT if you wanted to.
If you believed in Justin more, like I believe in Justin.
Your ownership would, like, chances that somebody has this team's probably not as high.
I'm telling you, the double WDs, the WWD is gonna scare some people.
It could.
Like I don't think there's. Okay, I wouldn't say there's no way, but
yeah, that's a different lineup for sure. I like that.
But yeah, I absolutely. I think you have to get Burns. Some Burns. He's playing ridiculous right now. We've seen him get hot before. So
the interesting one for me is Keegan. So Keegan 8,700. He's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th most price. Highest price guy this week, but he's starting in 4th.
So you almost feel like.
So it almost feels like you're getting a discount on the guy He's only 4 back.
And I think
He's playing well. Obviously, he just won.
Keegan's a tough click for people, anyways. Like,
I think so too.
and
I think
I don't think everybody's gonna be looking at it the way that you're looking at it. I feel like a lot of people are just gonna be like, okay, what names? Who cares what they're
Right.
starting?
yeah,
They're like, oh,
damn sure need to care where they're starting this week. Like,
well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, not everybody.
yeah. The average guy's probably just gonna be like, ooh, I can get
Yeah.
Hovland at 8,300.
Yep.
Well, yeah, Hovland's playing good, and you can get him at 8,300, but he's starting at 2 under.
Right.
Keegan is 4 shots ahead of him right now. Before they tee off. So, can that evaporate? Sure, but for $400 difference, like, I think to me, it makes more sense to play the guy who just won, who is, 4 shots off the lead,
Mm-hmm.
instead of the guy who's kind of trying to round into form here. I'm not trying to pick on Victor because I actually like Victor this week too, but just pricing wise, you need to really think about it as far as your builds go.
Victor showed us some stuff on the approach this week.
He did. Victor, now last 12 rounds, since we're talking about him, last 12 rounds, he is 4th in this field on approach.
Wow.
Yep. He has really turned it around this last couple tournaments. I'm not going to say he's back, but we are definitely rounding into form now. Still, around the green is not great. Putting's not great, but off the tee's pretty good, and the approach has really spiked.
Where's Horschel starting?
Horschel is starting 1 under. It's pretty far back there. But he's also relatively cheap, right?
7,100.
Mm-hmm. That's one of those ones where it's like Billy Horschel is $100 more than Theegala, and Theegala's beating him by 2 before they tee off.
See, yeah. I mean, I don't think everybody's.
And I think Theegala's going to be less owned.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm telling you guys, like, this needs to be the way you think about it. And I know that's kind of backwards, and you think
it's hard. It's hard to
it's
focus
hard
on that.
to make your brain do it because you're like, Billy Horschel versus Theegala. Give me Billy Ho. He's playing awesome.
Right.
But it's like, okay, well, Theegala's beating him by 2. Is he going to make that up? Maybe. But if they shoot the same score, Sahith could be, 2 shots could be like, I don't know, it could be like 10 places or 8 places or something as far as, points wise go. So, these are the things you need to think about while you're building this week. But let me just build the Chandler lineup of the week. I'll give it away. So you build one your way. Let me do Scotty, Xander, Hoagie, leaves me 6-9. Give me Akshay, who just had like the worst iron week of his life at the BMW. I believe he lost an insane amount. I think he was in last. Yep, he was in last on irons, but I don't see that happening again. He lost 2 shots per round on approach. That means he hit it in the water a lot. Clearly did not get the yardages right with the elevation. Rookie guy. Probably hasn't played a lot of elevation golf, honestly, being that he's a North Carolina guy.
Akshay?
I think that was
Akshay won at elevation, my guy.
I think that was clearly an issue, clearly an elevation problem. Clearly something was not right. There's no way he loses that much without something weird happening. A bunch of water balls. Not worried about it this week. 6,900. That leaves me at 6,900 still. And
Give me the 4 under guys. Do you have that up still?
The 4-unders are Rory, Kawa, Clark, Burns, Cantlay. 6,900. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rye. Aaron Rye is last 12 rounds on approach 3rd. 6,400 starting at even. And that leaves me with 7,400.
Russell Henley.
maybe Ben on because he was. Yeah, screw it. Ben on leaves $200 on the table. Ben on gained a ton putting on these exact grass type greens. Sure. Xander Scotty on Akshay Rai Hoagie. That's your free bands, free money play of the week. Don't put it in the same contest as me.
I'm not putting it in. I'm building one with my guys.
Oh, gross. All right, I'll make sure to stay away.
What's Pendrith starting at?
Pendrith is starting at 1 under.
All right, you ready? Whoever's team gets the least amount of points has to do the next show completely naked.
Whoa, dude. No shot. I'm good on that.
Come on, we can't even see from the waist down.
That's a good one, actually. I'm not wearing pants right now, actually.
All right, you ready? It's Xander, Decky, Hovland, On, Straka, Bobby Mack.
It's different. I'm liking the builds that we're coming up with because I believe them to be
You're going to be
less
so
owned.
naked.
Dude, I'm not actually.
I can see it now.
Is this thing recording? Perfect. Yeah, I like the builds we're coming up with because I think the ownership is going to be not there. Like the super popular build. You want to build the super popular one, the
chalk,
the golf bro, like just, no research, name picking lineup.
The DJ lineup.
Yeah, the DJ lineup of the week. Dude,
right.
Billy Ho's going to play good. Like, all right, bro, he's starting at 1 under, but I hear you. Who's like the most?
It's got to be Xander.
Let's do like the most expensive, like Hovland. Hovland's like, he could ball out, but he might be like the sucker play of the week.
Right.
He's starting at 2 under, but he's 8,300. So let's pick Hovland.
Horschel.
It has to be Xander. Not that that's a bad play, but it has to be Xander because he's playing so good and he is expensive.
I think a lot of people are going to pick Pendrith. He's been playing really well.
You think Pendrith? Where's Pendrith?
6,500.
65. He's starting at 1 under. Yeah. Let's go more expensive. Let's go.
Burns.
Who's the most expensive? Like Fleetwood too? I think Fleetwood, dude. Fleetwood starting at 1 under, 7,600. People like Fleetwood, right? You think he'll be picked? I don't have ownership in front of me, so I don't know.
I mean, I could see it.
Think about just like
You're still gonna have to go.
Think
down
about your
there.
typical, your typical DJ lineup. He's gonna be like, dude, Fleetwood's good, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's gonna be. Here's what I got so far: Xander, Hovland, Fleetwood, Billy Ho. That leaves you 8,000 remaining.
Pendrith can't lay.
I was gonna say something more disgusting. Rory Rye.
Oh, can you do that? Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
It's that. That's your most chalky, not good lineup of the week. That now that I've said that, will for sure win somebody $1 million.
Should I submit it just so I can follow it?
Xander, Rory, Hovland, Fleetwood, Horschel, Rye. That's like, you say it out loud.
It
and you're
sounds like a squad, honestly.
It sounds like a squad. But then you have to remember, Xander's in second, Rory's starting at 4 under, Hovland is starting at 2 under.
2 under, yeah.
Fleetwood starting at 1 under, and Rye is starting at even. It's not when there's one thing about this lineup. When the tournament starts and boom,
You're gonna be in last.
You're gonna be in last. It's like boom. All right, you're starting from last. Good luck. Hopefully you guys move up. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. It's a weird week. it's the final week. We won't be back next week for a golf tournament. Thinking about doing some NFL stuff.
Yeah. I think
So
we need to do NFL DraftKings strategy shows, but we
Okay.
can't do them Monday. We're gonna have to change the
it'll
day.
probably be a situation where we're either posting like just like short, sweet TikToks or Instagram videos until we can figure out like the best way to do an actual strategy show.
It's gonna
Um,
be, yeah. We'll talk
but
about
the
it.
golf season is only on break for a week, and then they go to Napa for the Pro Core. Is it what is it?
I can't remember off the
Pro
top of my head.
something, not Pro Core. But yeah, it's so basically you get a week off, and then you're right into the fall, the fall swing essentially. So we'll be back. I mean, shortly gonna take the week off next week, more than likely, and then yeah, we'll get into some other maybe some college football, NFL.
Ripping the pack, baby.
Yeah,
Thursday night, taking down the Catamounts.
that's who are you gonna cheer for?
That's a tough one, but I'm definitely gonna go with the pack.
Wow, that's messed up, man.
Yeah, Western Carolina. You know, I
Go
got
Cats.
love. I got love for the Cats, obviously, but you know, I got to go with the pack this year. This is their year. If we've ever built a squad that could actually win the ACC and maybe get in the college football playoff, this is the year. We've
See-
finally got the coach. We finally got a quarterback. We've got depth at positions on offense that we haven't had in years. This could be the year, man. Grayson McCall. I just hope that boy is not. I've seen him on Instagram, just kind of like, I don't know. He got some NIL money, and you know he's gone on some vacations. He's posting from some steakhouses. You know, I just hope that he's locked in. I need my quarterback locked in.
You
We're
need,
gonna
like-
find out.
You need that Peyton Wilson mentality
Yes.
instilled in him. I keep seeing Peyton Wilson edits.
Yeah, Peyton Wilson is going to be missed on the defensive end for sure. NC State should have a good year. Defense, you know, I think they'll still be good, but the offense should take a huge jump forward. And if they do, I think that they have a chance to win the ACC. Sitting at about 10-1, I think, right now to win the ACC. Haven't bet that or anything. I think the bet this week, I'll go ahead and give you the free bet of the week. I'm going to the game Thursday night against Western Carolina. I like the under. Under 61. Western Carolina lost their offensive coordinator this past year. Western Carolina, as you probably know, has kind of improved since we were there
I
football-wise.
think they had a pretty solid season
Yes,
last
they've gotten
year.
a lot better. When we were there, they were pretty terrible.
They were dog water.
But now, recently, they've gotten a lot better. They've gotten some like 500 and even some winning seasons going. But offensive coordinator, he's gone. So
Would he
I think the offense. No,
take a better job?
yeah, he got a better job. So I think that the offense will probably take a little bit of a hit this year. And I think he took the quarterback with him too.
Oof.
Offensive coordinator gone, and he took the quarterback. So I think Western Carolina's offense is going to struggle. NC State, there's a lot of hype. I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to just instantly look like, you know, an amazing football team. And I just don't see that happening immediately.
You say 61 and a half?
61 flat. I
That's-
think I take the under.
Yeah.
I don't see Western
You
Carolina
take
scoring
State in
much.
the under.
Yeah, I won't take State, but I will take the under.
Don't be scared.
It's like 33.5 or something like that. It's too much because in these weird games, if let's say State gets up by a little bit, they'll probably pull them because we
Yeah.
got Tennessee coming up. We want everybody healthy for Tennessee. So yeah, give me the under. Go Pack.
All right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in for the final tournament of the 2024 season. If you have not already, make sure you like the video, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcast and or Spotify, make sure you like the show and rate the show on either platform. Also, if you're new to sports betting, make sure you check out the link in the description of this video. You can get access to all the deposit matches and bonus bets across various sports books. If you haven't started betting by now, you're probably not going to, but I tell you what, you deposit $5 into most of these sports books and they'll give you $150 to play with. You don't even have to think for yourself. You just take some of the bets that we've given you, take NC State or take the under on NC State versus Western Carolina. You can put your entire bonus bet on one single bet if you really want to. And
I'd recommend taking your entire bonus bet and putting it on Scotty Scheffler to be the round one leader
oh yeah, that would
at
be it.
minus 175.
You
or
could
whatever it
parlay
is.
Scotty Scheffler, round one leader, and the under on the NC State game.
Probably
And then
be-
you're done on Thursday.
Yeah. That'd be a good Thursday bet. Probably get like plus
130.
+1. I was gonna say 150. Would probably be my guess.
All right, guys. We will. Well, we won't be. We actually won't see you next week, but we'll see you. We'll probably do something.
You'll see something. If nothing else, I'll come up with some college football stuff or some NFL stuff, or we'll do something at least on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah. So make sure you're following on all of those, and we'll catch you next time.